Hey, what's up guys, Lord Civic here, and today we're going to be comparing the PG32 CDM 4K Quantum Dot OLED 4K 240Hz monitor versus the beautiful Sony A95L, the king of TVs currently right now in my honest opinion, and we're going to be pitting them against each other. Since I did my review for the PG32 CDM and even before, you guys have been asking me, Lord Civic, can we please compare this monitor versus this TV? And we are going to do just that today, but we're going to elaborate even further on that, and we're going to be doing 4K monitors versus 4K TVs. I see a lot of discussion basically every day online, YouTube comments, forums, Reddit, all that different stuff about, hey, I want to get a 4K OLED display. Should I go with a 4K monitor, one of the newer ones, which people have been begging for 32-inch 4K monitors, OLED monitors for years, and we finally got them, and they went above even the expectation of how great they were going to be. Obviously, a lot of people have been asking for, brighter displays, and I'm going to talk about that in the video today. But then again, over here, we have the Sony A95L, which in my honest opinion, as I said, is the king of TVs. But then you also have the LG C series, you have the LG G series, you have the new Samsung S95D, and it's not as simple as saying, hey, the Sony A95L or a 4K TV is better than a 4K monitor. There's people with different cases, different uses, amount of space they have on their desk, what they're going to be playing, single player, multiplayer games. There's such a large variety of different stuff that we have to talk about. So this is going to be a video on the longer side. I'm going to put affiliate links in both the description and the pinned comment below for basically all the different display technologies that I'm going to be talking about in this video. If you'd like to support me, please use that link to purchase any of the products that I'll be talking about. Also, I'm planning on streaming Destiny's Final Shape DLC this week and over the next couple of weeks and different stuff like that, or months, I guess. So please make sure to tune into that as well. And with saying that, let's hop right in. So the first thing I want to cover in this video is the different sizes of the display that you can get. Now, when it comes to the monitor side of things, 32-inch 4K OLED monitors are the only ones currently available. But then on the TV side, you have 42-inch, 48-inch, 55-inch, 65, 77, 83, and I believe it also goes up to 90, but at that point, you're going to be spending like 10 grand plus for a 4K OLED TV, which is insane. But I mean, you got money like that, more power to you. Now, with that said, 32-inch is no slouch, and we're going to talk about the TV different sizes in a second, but 32-inch is no slouch. For years, I have been using, super ultra wide or ultra wides, but then I've also had a 27-inch 1440p, I believe. At first I had 165 hertz, and then I upgraded to a 360 hertz monitor. And going from 27-inch to 32-inch, I didn't realize how gigantic of a difference it would be. 32-inch is a big display to use at your desk, and I was actually kind of surprised. I've gotten used to it at this point, and honestly, ideally at the point in my life that I'm at, I think going forward, I'm going to be getting 32-inch monitors going forward. 27-inch is nice and different stuff like that, and if you're a strictly competitive gamer, 27 or 24 is definitely one for you, but for me and the point I'm at right now, 32-inch is probably the perfect point for me. Now, I did at one point have a 48-inch TX. Longtime viewers on this channel will know that I raved about it at the point in time that I had it. I loved it. It was amazing. I said it was my favorite monitor at that specific point in time. Now, at this point in time, if I got, let's say, a 48-inch C3 or C4 and I compare it to the PG32 CDM, I would most likely go with the PG32 CDM because I just love the retrofit of the 32-inch and how it fits on my desk. But as I said at the beginning of the video, there is a lot of variables at play, and when choosing the specific size of the monitor or TV that you're going to go with for PC gaming, there is a lot of stuff you got to take into account. So first and foremost, the footprint. The footprint is very important. Is this display going to be sitting on your desk, or is it going to be sitting on like a wall behind your desk? Some people have setups where they have their desk pushed away from the wall and then their display hanging up on the wall, kind of like, the bat cave with all the monitors and displays and stuff like that. That's a cool setup and different stuff. And at that point, maybe 55 or 65 or 77 inch, or maybe even 48 inch might be ideal for you. Now, this is going to be kind of like a controversial point, or I don't think it's that controversial. I honestly think for desk usage, this is the better display. Now, when it comes to, as I said, like the bat cave type of view, where you're going to be having it on like the back wall, whatever, then that's the case of when a TV would be more ideal. I just think that when you have a desk, especially if you're somebody like me that is going to have multiple displays, you can't have one monitor or display, monitor, TV, interchangeable at this point, but you can't have one display just taking such a large footprint on your desk. Especially with me, I don't think with my G9 OLED, I could have like a 42 inch or, my God, a 48 inch or 55 inch on the desk. That just would not be ideal for me. So in my honest opinion, when it comes to size, when you're having it strictly on your desk, the 4K monitors are more ideal for, I would say, basically maybe 90% of people. So we're finally going to talk about what you guys have all been waiting for. Which display is better when it comes to picture quality, brightness, detail handling, color accuracy, and all those different aspects? The PG-32 UCDM or the Sony A95L? And guys, it's not even close. The Sony A95L absolutely slaughters the PG-32 CDM, not only because of its brightness levels, but this consumer level display, Sony A95L, is the single most beautiful consumer level display that I've ever seen, and I would actually go as far as to say it is my favorite piece of technology ever. What Sony and their XR processor chip has accomplished with the Sony A95L is nothing short of sheer magic, and when it comes to, picture quality, it just blows everything else out of the water. Now, in that same point, I cannot look you point blank in the eye and say that the Sony A95L is twice as good as the PG-32 UCDM. And you say, Lord Civic, why does it have to be twice as good? Because it is twice as expensive, more than twice as expensive. The PG-32 UCDM sits at $1,299, and the smallest model Sony A95L that you can get sits at a whopping $3,000. Now, you might be saying, okay, Lord Civic, then in this specific case, yes, this video is about the Sony A95L versus PG-32 UCDM. Why can't I just go with a display that also reaches up to the same brightness level or surpasses it and go with, say, like the G3, G4, or S95C or S95D? And that goes to an earlier point that I made in the earlier section of this video when I was talking about the sizes. Now, logically, you're not going to, or not logically, most people aren't going to want a 55-inch display on their desk. Now, if you're in a bat cave type scenario where you're going to be putting it on the back wall, like I stated earlier, then that might be more ideal. But to get a display that is going to be that much better, that I would be like, hey, yeah, you should go with a TV over the PG-32 UCDM, which you'd also be losing refresh rate, which we're going to talk about in the next section. You would have to spend upwards of at least $1,000 more. The S95C, which I'm not sure at the price is right now, I can imagine for the 55-inch maybe being like $1,800 or whatever. Same thing with the G3, but currently right now, if you want to get the newest model TVs, the G4 sits at 55 inches, I believe, $2,300 or around $2,300. I know it's at least more than $2,000. The same thing with the S95D. Now, also, those also come with 144 hertz refresh rates, which is a little bit more ideal than 120 hertz, but it's still not going to compare to 240 hertz. As I said, we're going to cover that in a second more, but ideally, if you are somebody that's looking at a TV versus a monitor, you are more logically going to be looking for the 42-inch or the 48-inch if you're going to be putting on your desk. And this is where I feel that a lot of people that have not experienced both display technologies, the monitor and the TV, can't really make a fair or have a fair opinion, because, if you just seen one, like if I just saw the PG-32 UCDM, I would be like, bro, this is the best. Like, there's no reason to get a 42-inch, 48-inch. It's the perfect size. It's absolutely amazing. Now, if somebody has had a 48-inch CX, I do see the point of getting a TV on your desk, and yes, it is a little on the bigger side, and ideally, as I stated earlier, I would rather go with the 32-inch because I feel like that's the perfect size for me, but I do see the argument is fair to make. Now, I can't really say that much about the 42-inch. I can, you know, visualize it being like 10 inches more, and I've seen it in Best Buy, but I haven't seen it on a desk in a specific section of that. But a point that I don't see a lot of people making is that the C4 is, yes, able to, I believe, get more than 1,000 nits. I think they can get up to 1,500 nits. But the 42-inch and 48-inch model can actually only get up to 800 to 900 nits, which I see a lot of people use as a point to say, hey, these displays are better than the PG32 UCDM. That is true in some aspects, but the 42-inch and the 48-inch model can only get up to 800, 900 nits, which puts it dimmer than the PG32 UCDM, and it might be in a larger window on the displays, but then again, you have to take into account, hey, I would be losing 240 hertz, I would be having a bigger display. If I want to have a second monitor, I got to take into account that this is on my desk and blah, 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 and there's just so many other different stuff that you have to take into account when it comes to that. Now, I have seen the C4 and the C3 in person, beautiful displays and different stuff like that, and in my honest opinion, the PG32 UCDM is overall better, not only because, you know, it's a smaller display, pixel density, especially you're going to be sitting right up close to your desk. View distance is very important when it comes to a variety of different sizes, and that's another point that you have to take for and account for. So, in my honest opinion, let me just say this. Let me make these points. Sony 95L, best display. You're sitting like a Batcave type scenario. Yes, that the 55-inch, if you want the absolute best and you don't care how much it costs, even if it's double more, you're not getting double the performance of it, that's the best you can go with. The G4 and the S95D, absolutely amazing displays. If you don't want to absolutely break the bank, but you want an absolutely stunning display technology, 55-inch. If you have a large desk that sits out, same logic applies to the Sony 95L 55-inch, then that would probably be more ideal for you. If you want to go 65 or 77-inch for a computer display setup, I would recommend, unless you're putting it on the wall, don't do it. It's just really not going to work. Now, when it comes to the LG C4 and LG C3, or LG is actually the only one who has the smaller displays. I know Sony has the A90K or whatever, but like compared to the brightness levels of all the technology and stuff like that, I don't even feel like that's in the running. But when it comes to 42-inch and the 48-inch in the PG32 CDM, or let's say the Alienware, the MSI, or whatever, when it comes to footprint and just being able to put more displays on your desk, for me, that's more ideal. Now, if it's going to be the absolute only display on your desk, I can see the argument being made that the C4 42-inch or the 48-inch might be better, but then again, you got to take into account the next point that I'm going to be making, which is we're going to be talking about the refresh rate. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the variety of different games that you'll be playing on these different displays and how important is the refresh rate when it comes to those specific games. First and foremost, after getting Sony 95L, I raved about it in the previous point or whatever. I cannot tell you how many games I have beaten or have beaten from start to finish on this display. I played Alan Wake, I played Control, I played Alan Wake 2, all from start to finish on the Sony A95L. Some of the greatest gaming experiences I ever had. Not Sony A95L. Alan Wake 2 is just downright gorgeous. And it's gorgeous on display as well, but, as I said, blows it out of the water when it comes to picture quality. Absolutely amazing experience, all the nightmarish type visuals and different stuff like that with the peak brightness. It's just nothing short of sheer magic. I played Spider-Man 2 from start to finish. I finished my last 30 hours of Elden Ring, and so many other games that I played since, like Mortal Kombat and just different stuff like that. Now, with saying that, single-player games are also very fun on the PG32 CDM as well, and I played, Dragon Dogma. I played a lot of Persona 3 Reload on both this display and this one, and also my Steam Deck OLED as well. But the most important thing is the refresh rate when it comes to playing, different games. So at this point in time, the 4080 and the 4090 are really the ideal cards if you're going to be playing at a 4K resolution. And we have 120 hertz on the Sony A95L, the higher tier Samsung and LG offering TVs allow 144 hertz, which is not that big of a difference from 120 hertz, but you know, every single bit of FPS to a certain point makes a difference. And then over here on the PG32 CDM, we have 240 hertz. Now, this is another point that I think I have to tie back into the size of things. A lot of people, when it comes to esports games, it's either 27-inch or 24-inch. That is most ideal. Yes, I have been playing a lot of Overwatch on this display as well, but it is a lot more visual real estate to look at, which logically thinking, you'd be like, okay, it's better, you know, it's more to see, more stuff to take up your point of view, but it does kind of limit how fast you can react to different things. When I was playing on my 27-inch monitor, if a Pharah was coming up from the screen right about to ult, if I was on my 27-inch monitor, I can, like, you know, just out of the corner of my eye see, and I can still see out of the corner of my eye on the 32-inch, but it's kind of like I gotta move my eyes just a little bit. And you also more so have to take that into account when, let's say, you go up to 42-inch or 48-inch, and then also you would also be losing half of the FPS. And now you see the point that I'm trying to tie into things. Yes, the 42-inch and 48-inch are absolutely amazing monitors, and for single-player games is very ideal. But if you're somebody that's going to be playing games like Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant, League of Legends, MOBAs, like any type of game that's going to be like a competitive level, not even taking into account the 240 hertz refresh rate, which I think gives you a large advantage. And even as somebody that has gone from the previous generation that I was playing on with 360 hertz to 240 hertz, I feel it even though it's an IPS to OLED. Losing any bit of FPS when it comes to competitive games is very, very important. And honestly, I wouldn't even really recommend playing a competitive game on a 55-inch display. I just think you would be at a sheer disadvantage, and it's just you're limiting yourself. Even if you do the whole bat cave thing I was talking about earlier in the video, it's not a good idea. There's too much to see. It's too confusing already enough to be able to pay attention to it on a 32-inch display. Ideally for competitive games, you want 27 or 24-inch. So you're already pushing the envelope too much. If you want the brightness and all those different aspects with S95D, S95C, or G3 or G4, you're stuck at 55 inches. And that's just not ideal for multiplayer games. Now, when it comes to single player games, such as RPGs, or, you know, even like first person shooters like Doom or whatever, which Doom's not a competitive game, and, you know, yes, it probably would be more ideal to have a smaller display, but I would say, like, the benefits would outweigh the negatives. But then again, at that point, with Doom Eternal, with it being such a well-optimized game, if you tinker your settings just right, especially if you have a 48 or 4090, you could get close to that 240 hertz. So then again, you'd be losing the FPS. This is what I'm talking about, guys. There's so many different things that you have to account for when it comes to these displays, because it's not as simple as just saying, hey, the 4K monitor is better than the 4K TV or whatever. And, you know, there's so many specific aspects and different stuff. Like, I'm trying to cover as much as possible, but there's just so many different scenarios you got to take into account. You got to take the size of your desk, you got to take how far away you're going to be from the monitor, where you're going to be using a mouse and keyboard or a controller and different stuff like that. And it's just so much that you have to cover. So we're about to close out this video, and the last thing that I want to talk about is, you know, strictly TV versus monitor. So with closing out this video, I really want to talk about, you know, the brass tack differences between a 4K monitor and a 4K TV. Now, a TV is supposed to be used strictly as a TV. It's supposed to be, you know, sitting on your kitchen wall, you know, as you're cooking and different stuff like that. It's a family room display, a home theater display, and just different stuff like that. And a monitor is supposed to sit at your desk. So they're going to be, you know, aiming for different things. And the first thing we're going to be mentioning is the sounds. A monitor is never going to be a device that is going to target, you know, a sound that you want to be having in like a cinematic experience or whatever. You know, monitors do come with speakers. I believe the PG30 UCM does not. I haven't even used them because I'm always using headphones or my KEF and different stuff if they do. And then, you know, for the Sony 950, it has like the Sony, when it comes to sound and stuff like that, has like one of the best experiences. It's something that they target on the market and different stuff like that. You know, LG and Samsung, they're very nice as well. And that's like a point that I feel that you have to take into account when choosing which specific model to go for. If you're somebody that's not really going to be investing in some very nice headphones or something even as ridiculous as desktop monitors like the KEF LS50 wireless 2s, you're probably going to want to go with a TV. If you're somebody that wants to tinker in and hone down the settings and different stuff like that, a TV might be more ideal for you. And you might be saying, Lord Civic, what do you mean? Because monitors allow you to tinker the settings and different stuff like that as well. But displays like the PG32 UCDM, especially the first generation of these display technologies, they're actually pretty limited in what type of settings they allow you to tinker with and set up and different stuff like that. Then again, you also have to think, okay, what am I going to be using this display for? Just PC gaming, or do I want to use it for more? Now, if you're going to be using, let's say, this with like the PlayStation or Xbox, as I said before, the speakers, as I said, I believe it doesn't have speakers, but, oh no, this is how it works. It works that it doesn't have any actual audible speakers, but it does allow you to pass through the audio to it. And with saying that, the Sony like PS5 or the Xbox, yes, it will look really good on this display if you're in like a dorm room or some type of setting where you can't have a large display. It might be ideal, but then again, you'd have to invest in some external speakers and different stuff like that. Also, even though you can, I've watched some anime on this. I'm doing like a watch through with my like friends, Jacob and Brandon are watching Hunter x Hunter for the first time. And sometimes we do the little like watch party thing together, and it's like really cool to watch together and stuff like that. But even though that is fun, it does not give you the same cinematic experience that say a 55-inch, 65-inch, or say even a 42-inch or a 48-inch display would give you. And then also you got to take into account that, let's say if you're going to be using a PlayStation or Xbox, this display is nice, it's small, but not only would you be losing out on the speakers and different stuff like that, but you also have to take into account that you can't even max out the refresh rate on this display unless you have a PC. The consoles aren't reaching up to 240 Hertz, and that's when this display would be more ideal for you. And yes, the G4 and the S95D and G3 and S95C can also get up to 144 Hertz, but you wouldn't even be maxing it out then. So, you know, as I was stating before, and what I've been stating this entire video is there's just so many variety of things you have to account for when trying to choose either displays. It's not as black and white as saying, hey, this TV is better or this monitor is better. Like even down to like, it's not even saying like just this monitor is better, or no, it's not saying the 4K OLED monitor is better or 4K OLED TV is better. Then you also got to take into account all the different models, the different aspects that they target. You got to also take in price point. You got to take in how far away from the display you're going to be sitting, the refresh rate, what type of computer technology you have. Like if you don't have a 4080 or 4090, this probably won't even be ideal for you at all. And it's like, okay, but I play competitive games. Then yes, it might be, but then you have to tinker the settings and different stuff like that. And then you can be like, okay, but I play a lot of single player games and I want to play Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree with the absolute best picture quality that's available and also not be bright. And I have to, you know, sit in front of a window. You got to take into account the brightness because, you know, it's glossy and then there's matte, and it's just like, it's so confusing, and it's like, it's not as black and white as I said. And I hope all the different stuff that I've spoken about in this video is kind of like garnered and gave you a better idea of what display that you would specifically want to go for. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you guys have any questions, please make sure to put them in the description below. Also, feel free to DM me. I never really have said this out loud on a video or whatever, but a lot of people sometimes reach out to me in my DMs asking me specific questions on my social medias, which I have linked in the link tree in the description below. But feel free to reach out to me. Also, as I said again, make sure to tune in with Destiny Stream. Affiliate links are in the description and the pinned comment below. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Please make sure to hit that like, subscribe button. And saying that, I hope you guys have a great day.